Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here at Let's Go Dad. I'm Nick on how to deal with children and their challenging behaviors, especially children from hard places or foster care. Here we go.
1, 2, 3.
Let's go. Do we offer consequences? How do we discipline kids? How do we approach them after they've done an extreme or really hard behavior? That's what we're talking about today. Okay, so I'm so sorry it's happened, but your child has shown some hard behaviors. Whether they have physically hit someone, they've raged, they've just been in complete defiance mode, and they've come out of that, you've dealt with it, you're beyond it. What do you do now? The most critical, the first thing you should do is show affection and care for that child. This might be time to cuddle with a child if they accept it. This might be a time to verbally say, this has been a hard day, but I'm so glad that we're through that together because I love being around you and I don't want you to get hurt or anyone else to get hurt or you to get sad or anyone else in our family to be sad because this is a family built around trust and around love. The other thing you can do is give them Bandaids. So whether they've gotten physically harmed throughout this behavior they had, well, if they've gotten physically harmed throughout this behavior they've had, you can put Bandaids on their physical bruises, but also those internal bruises and hurts, have them speak some of those out, or maybe you can even say them for the child if they can't speak them out, like, man, I saw that you were really sad when you were doing what you did, or that you were really upset and hurt when you were doing what you did. So I'm going to put this, can I put it on your heart or would you like it on your arm? Where would you like this Band-Aid? I'm going to put it on there just to remind us that we're healing from that hurt or that brokenness. These Band-Aids do a lot. They show that you care about them, that you understand that they're dealing with stuff, that you have compassion for them. It also can lead to them having some words that they may not have in their vocabulary about what they're going through. Like, yeah, that hurts. Yeah, that made me angry. I was really sad and angry when I started acting that way. Let's face it, a lot of the behaviors our children go through are because they don't have the words to say, the words for what they're experiencing. When I did trainings with a county, I know one of the things we did was there was this lady who taught children ASL, like sign language, American Sign Language, even taught little kids words in ASL and had a whole method for doing it. And one thing that was said to her and in our training by the trainer was that young kids who weren't very verbal yet, so especially like 2-year-olds or 18-month to 2-year-olds who learned ASL, like they didn't have as many temper tantrums as kids who couldn't use signs to communicate. We experience the same thing in foster care or with kids from hard places or from trauma. A lot of our kids don't have the words to express what they're feeling and what they're going through. So we have to help them have those words. That's one thing that Band-Aids do. You put the Band-Aid on, you say, it really felt like you were really sad when you did that behavior, or it really felt like you were really anxious or stressed out. So you're giving them words, so you're creating this language that they can communicate back to you when they're feeling those things. They can be preventative in nature the next time. But honestly, more important than that, it shows that you still care about them, still love them after those behaviors. Remember, and this has to be like a mantra for us, remember, it's not the child you don't like, it's the behavior you don't like. You just say that over and over again. It's not the child you don't like, it's the behavior you don't like. Because that's critical, that we learn and are able to still care about and love our kids after they've done sometimes some really, truly terrible things. All right, so we had a kid who broke the door. What do? Well, that kid's gonna sand that door. I can tell you, I've had kids repairing holes in their walls. Now, they're gonna do it with help, but they're gonna do it, and they're gonna do a lot of that hard work. It's just the way it is. That's their door, they've gotta fix it. Most kids understand this. I'd say the consequence is they can't have certain things back or have certain things, like maybe media time or whatever, until they've done what's required of them in repairing the damage they've done to your household or to your family. That might be sanding the door. That might be finding a way to heal a relationship because, you know what, buddy? You said some really mean things to grandma, or you said some really mean things to your sister, and in this house, I would never let anyone say those kinds of things to you, so I also can't let anyone say those kinds of things to someone else. So you need to figure out how you're going to repair that relationship. Maybe you can write an apology letter to them. Maybe you can do something for them. Maybe you can say something to them. Whatever it is, come up with a plan on how they're going to address that behavior with that child. Yes, these are the consequences. Kids have to have these because if something gets damaged or hurt or broken, they need to learn that there's something that needs to be done, right? There's healing that needs to happen, whether it's physical or emotional healing. They can't just walk away every time they've done something wrong. The next thing you should do after a kid has really challenging behaviors, or rages or whatever, is that you should talk about the cues with that child. What are cues? So one of my kids, he gets a really stiff upper back and shoulders when he is getting escalated or getting some real traumatic stuff welling up inside of him. And so we talk about this a lot. I try and pay attention to that, and I'll say things like, buddy, I see that your back is tense. Can I rub your back up here? Or can you do some deep breaths with me? Or hold a finger out, pretend it's a candle and blow it, or run up and down our stairs. Like, do something. Another great one is chew some gum, or would you rather have a lollipop? Like, that kind of physical motion with their mouth really helps with some certain things as things are welling up. So these are things I do, but I want the child to know that this is how I know to offer these, so that when they get older and hopefully as they develop, they can notice this in themselves. Go, okay, I'm doing a shoulder check. Oh, those were really tight. Okay, I guess I'm in a place that I need to calm down. Like, I'm in a place where I need to take some deep breaths, blow out the distant candle, whatever it is. I need to do some things to get myself out, because I just noticed that's a huge cue for me. I have another child whose jaw like clenches, like he gets really tight in here if he's starting to get wound up. If his engine's starting to run too fast, right? It gets really tight in here. That's a cue. He also tends to get really excited and boisterous and like, and that quickly turns from that into a rage. One therapist we had said that goes, green is a good place to be. That hyper thing is like an orange, and it feels really good, except that orange is really close to red. But we've got to be careful in that area. He will build up to that, and then boom. So I want him to get to the point where he can recognize that. He's not there yet, but I want him to get to the point where he can recognize that. And so I'm going to speak to him about the cues that I see, so that one day he can see those for himself. And this is something that happens over years. So don't think, man, I told him last week that this is what happened. His shoulders were really stiff. Well, yeah, great. But when they're in that mode, they're not thinking very well. And so honestly, it's going to be a long process of helping them identify cues and even getting to the point where they want to be helped. So they want to try those things like blowing out the candle, taking a breath, or taking breaths. We say it's special forces breathing, because the special forces do that box breathing with breathe in, hold it, breathe out, right? Like, that's special forces breathing to help calm their bodies. And so that's how we talk about it, because then our boys will do it. But often they don't want to do that. They don't want to calm down. They're not in a place where they want to do these things that de-escalate. The second to last thing after this time, when all these behaviors have happened, is that you ask them what you can do to help next time. Okay, buddy, I was trying. I did this and this, so please, what would be helpful to you next time? Now, 90% of the time, your child is going to say, I don't know. And that's honest. All right? That's honest. But then at least they know that the reason you're there is to help. And if you keep using that or saying that over and over again, they're like, okay, Nick is really trying to help me calm down, rather than Nick is my enemy during this, right? It's hopefully that gets ingrained in their brains that Nick is here to help me try and calm down so I don't do something that I'm going to regret later. The last thing that you should do after a child has calmed down and de-escalated and you've gone through these other steps, take a break. Our self-care is so important, because these things are so stressful and take so much energy for us to deal with. I'll be honest, I'm staying at a hotel this week. I feel slightly guilty, but I'm going and staying at a hotel not far away. A social worker is going to be here to help out my folks when they watch the kids. Wonderful. Yes, I need that. And then this last Sunday, one of the support group members took one of the kids, and then another member of the support group took the kid after her, and I got most of the day to just chill out with my other child. And it was such a beautiful thing. Take breaks. This is hard. This is extremely hard. No one should judge you for taking the time you need. Think about everything we've talked about in these 3 videos. If you've gone through this, you need to take a break. If you don't have a system set up with people who can give you those breaks, this is number 1 priority. I kid you not. This is so critical, because if you burn out, you're not helping anyone, and you're not going to take more kids. And even like some of you aren't going to take more kids, period. But you're not going to be there for this kid the next time they flip out. It's going to be harder and harder to remember that it's the behaviors you don't like. It's not the child that you don't like. Okay? You need to take that time for yourself. Okay, let me say, this has been a really hard video to make. Like, I'm emotionally drained. I filmed all 3 videos here at once. We're going to post them over time, and I am just like, talking about these, because they brought up things. And when I did the breathing, when I'm like, oh, box breathing, hold it. Even though I did it quickly, I did it twice, because I'm like, yeah, I need to do that again. So this is hard. This is hard stuff, and I'm not saying I have all the answers for this, But I have a lot of love for you, and I have a lot of love for these kids. And I feel like they can come a long way. And I've seen kids heal in amazing ways because of people like you who've invested in them and who are watching this video because you want to know how to help them, care about them, and love them in a way that is going to change their story. So God bless you. Thank you so much. I hope this has been helpful. Even if you get one thing out of these 3 videos, I hope it's been helpful in a way that you feel like you can breathe too. And let's go be the kind of parents who can connect with our children, bring life and healing into them, and then in turn through them into the world.